Welcome back to History of Simple Things. Today's topic comes from one of our viewers, Sasuser MC3075. Thanks for the suggestion. You asked, what's the difference between a bathroom and a restroom? If you've ever walked into a public building, traveled abroad, or simply noticed different signs on restroom doors, you've probably wondered why the same place can have so many different names. Is there actually a difference between a bathroom and a restroom, or are they just interchangeable words? Stick around as we uncover the surprising history behind these everyday terms, right here on History of Simple Things. For most of human history, there wasn't really such a thing as a bathroom. Ancient civilizations like the Romans built impressive public bathhouses, but bathing and using the toilet were usually separate activities. During the Middle Ages, indoor plumbing was rare and people relied on chamber pots or outhouses. Everything changed during the 1800s as indoor plumbing became more common in Europe and North America. Wealthier homes started including dedicated rooms with bathtubs, sinks, and eventually toilets. Since bathtubs were considered the room's most luxurious feature, people naturally called the room the bathroom, even if its main purpose eventually became using the toilet. As plumbing spread to ordinary homes throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the name stuck, even in bathrooms that no longer had a bathtub at all. So where did the word restroom come from? Surprisingly, it wasn't meant to describe toilets at first. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, large department stores, hotels, and train stations began creating elegant lounges where customers could freshen up, relax, and escape the busy crowds. These rooms often included comfortable chairs, mirrors, and eventually nearby toilet facilities. Because visitors could literally take a short rest there, businesses started calling them restrooms. Over time, the relaxing lounge areas became less common, but the name survived. Today in the United States, restroom is simply the polite way to refer to a public toilet, even though almost nobody actually goes there for a nap. Here's something funny. Plenty of bathrooms don't actually have a bath. Think about restaurants, gas stations, airports, or office buildings. Most only contain toilets and sinks, no bathtub anywhere. Yet many Americans still casually ask, "Where's the bathroom?" That's because language often keeps old meanings long after the original reason disappears. Once a word becomes familiar, people continue using it because everyone understands what it means. In everyday conversation, accuracy becomes less important than convenience. Nobody is expecting to find a bathtub inside the restroom at a fast food restaurant. They simply know what bathroom means. Different English-speaking countries develop their own preferred terms. In Canada, washroom is extremely common, emphasizing the sink where people wash their hands. In the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand, people usually say toilet, which directly refers to the fixture itself. While Americans sometimes consider that word too direct in casual conversation, it's perfectly normal in many other countries. Then there's WC, short for water closet. During the Victorian era, indoor toilets were often installed inside small enclosed rooms connected to plumbing. Those spaces became known as water closets, and the abbreviation WC remains common on signs across Europe and many other parts of the world. So depending on where you travel, the exact same room might have 4 completely different names. This difference comes down to something linguists call a euphemism, using softer or more indirect words for topics that people once considered embarrassing. For centuries, discussing bodily functions openly was seen as impolite in many cultures. Instead of mentioning the toilet directly, people preferred gentler terms that focused on something else, like bathing, washing, or resting. That's why words like bathroom, restroom, lavatory, and powder room became popular. They all avoid mentioning exactly what happens inside. Even today, businesses often choose these friendlier words because they sound more welcoming to customers. English isn't unique at all. Many languages use indirect names for the same room. French often uses lit toilette, while Spanish commonly says baño, which literally means bath. In Japanese, one common word is otearai, meaning hand-washing place. Even though every culture approaches it differently, many languages prefer names that sound cleaner or more polite than simply saying toilet. It's a fascinating example of how language reflects social customs. The room itself barely changes, but the name tells you a lot about what people value and how they prefer to communicate. So, which one is actually correct? The truth is, they're all correct. It just depends on where you are. If you're visiting the United States, asking for the restroom or bathroom sounds perfectly natural. In Canada, washroom fits right in. In Britain, simply asking for the toilet is completely normal and won't sound rude at all. If you're traveling internationally, spotting a WC sign usually means you found exactly what you're looking for. Rather than having one universal word, English evolved different names based on history, architecture, and cultural etiquette. They're all describing the same destination, just through different traditions. The next time you see a sign that says bathroom, restroom, washroom, or WC, you'll know there's more behind those words than you might have imagined. What seems like a simple label is actually a small piece of history shaped by changing technology, social manners, and the way people choose to talk about everyday life. Funny enough, the room hasn't changed nearly as much as the words we use to describe it, and sometimes the most ordinary signs around us hide the most interesting stories. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.